everybody. Welcome to RTL Beach. My name is Manny Flores. I work at Ipsos on the media side. And today I'm very pleased to present a topic on how to get media context right. And we're going to discuss how social advertising has evolved from a conversion-based sort of down-funnel driven approach to one that can be used to build long-term brand equity. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce you all to my distinguished guests. And so maybe we'll go from my left all the way to the end, starting with you, Alexandra.
Thank you, Manny. Hello, everyone. I'm Alexandra Bolten. I head content and social marketing globally at L'Oreal. And I guess my job is all about understanding how to connect with our consumers, also about creativity, and how we get our message through and connect with our consumers also through advocates and influencers.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tim. First, thanks to Ipsos as well as RTL for having us. We put so much prep into the brief, I missed the wardrobe memo. I'm the only one not wearing blue. I lead the U.S. enterprise business at TikTok. Our goal is to help partner with brands as well as other agencies in the ecosystem on how to show up well on the platform. Obviously, we have a tonnage of audiences on our platform, and we'll talk more about that later today. Thanks for having us.
I'm Claudine Patel. I'm head of marketing for Sanofi. Had to think for a little bit. Sanofi Consumer Healthcare North America. My role is to really think about how do we build brand equity, bring our brands into culture, but all in service of driving growth for the business. So.
Hi everybody, I'm Adam Sheridan. I'm the Global Head of Products at Ipsos Creative Excellence, and it's my job to make sure that clients have the solutions available to them to get more creative, to get more effective.
Hi everyone, my name is Maxime. I lead the marketing, the innovation and the communication for M6 Publicité in France. So my role is more oriented on the advertising side, but I'll be very happy to share our best practices in terms of on the editorial side as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you for introducing yourselves. We do have one announcement that's not on my cue card. We do have a birthday today, Alexandra's birthday, so maybe we could celebrate her.
Happy to celebrate with you today. I mean,
This is an amazing party. Wow.
this is the best party.
Yeah, best surprise party.
And Manny, if I may add, it's also Maxime's birthday today. Which
Thank you.
What a combo.
we have to find
If
some
we have
cakes.
time at the end, maybe we'll sing happy birthday for the both of them. All right, so to get things started, Adam, who works with me at Ipsos, he's going to present some findings from some research that we did on social effectiveness, and he's going to highlight which strategies are the most useful to building long-term brand equity.
Great, thanks Manny. And so when we think about creativity in advertising, I think we'd all agree there's a range of definitions out there, and that's okay, that's absolutely fine. But when we looked at these definitions at Ipsos, we felt that one group of people weren't really that well represented, and that's the audience of advertising, that's everyday people. What does creativity in advertising mean to them? What experiences can we best deliver that underpin creativity in a people-first way? And so to answer that question, we ran an analysis of about 2,000 ads in our database, and we identified the 3 experiences that you can see on screen here. And I'll just read them out, each of them in turn. We'll come back to what each of them means in terms of the advertising experience overall. So the first is a creative experience. Is this the feeling that you've been entertained in a unique and surprising way that's inherently talkable? That's on the left. The second is creative ideas on the right. So less about the moment-by-moment experience of the advertising, but more about the ideas, the concepts, the values, and you've taken away something new that you didn't know before. And in the middle, last but certainly by no means least, is empathy and fitting in. So this sense that the advertising is about you, it's about your world, your needs, sometimes even your dreams, and where the brand fits within that to enable that, rather than just one-dimensionally advertising the brand. And that's really what we see as the essence of creativity at Ipsos, is it's about creative experiences and empathy together in a people-first way to deliver a good quality audience experience for the people that we want to choose us. What happens when we bring those experiences together, when we entertain in an empathetic way with new ideas and thinking? You can achieve 20% stronger sales lift outcomes versus the average just by doing that alone, with the same media investment, just delivering a good quality audience experience where those things interact and play off each other. But as the title of this panel would suggest, the next question is, does that uniformly apply across different media contexts? And if we return to the data that I alluded to earlier, linear video, broadcast video, that's where the data set came from the previous screen. What we see is that creative experiences really do significantly contribute to those effects. Long form, very lean back experience, you're in entertainment, and as an ad, you're somewhat interrupting that entertainment, so it makes sense that you are part of entertainment. But then the question is, does that also happen in social? If you deliver a strong creative experience in social video, are you going to get to strong effects? Well, partly yes, partly no. What we actually see in social video is that it's more about empathy and fitting in. It's about human connection and slightly more about enabling new ideas and thinking. And I think that also makes sense because that's why people are there at social in the first place. It's to connect with people they know, with content creators whose passions they follow, and to discover new trends and thinking to help their lives. And I think perhaps we can all reflect on these differences by media context and ask ourselves the question, do we think about that enough when we're planning a campaign, where we're planning and executing assets? Do we regularly think about that enough? We'll all have different answers to that question, but perhaps we could always give more consideration to that question.
Thank you, Adam. So why don't we then ask our first expert on this panel the very question that he started to raise, which was, Alexandra, based on your own experiences and what you do at L'Oreal, how are you using empathy to deepen connections with your audiences?
Yeah, thank you. So first, maybe a word on beauty and how we see beauty at L'Oreal. We believe that beauty is an essential need that's deeply individual. So it's, beauty can bring self-confidence, it's part of your identity, and it's also quite social, and it brings people together and transcends culture. So I would say from the start, it's empathy at core, right? Then the second thing is when we address and start crafting our messages and our creatives, we always start with the consumer. We have consumer centricity at heart, and it's the knowledge of our consumers that spark the insights. And once you get the insight right, it's the first way to connect and to create that empathy with the consumer and to tell them that we're understanding. Then in the way that we deliver our messages, we also have empathy at core, and we add on to that a platform-first approach. We know that consumers are going to platforms and they expect different things depending on the touch point that they're going to seek the messages and the content there. So we craft differently from platform to platform, taking those insights in. And we also rely on creators and beauty advocates to craft these messages. And here we rely on them. It can be micro, nano influencers up to macro and VIP and specialists, experts, because people relate to them, and we know that. Like 1/3 of Gen Z, I read in a recent survey, rely on influencers more than they even rely on their parents to guide them in some choices. So that's empathy at core, once again, and the way that we choose these creators and advocates that are going to deliver our messages across a touch point is because there's a brand fit and there's a value fit. And here again, it's all about the empathy and ultimately brand building. Because once you have that brand fit, you're building your brand.
Thank you. That was great. And I think our audience would also like to understand how you use innovations like Gen AI in the creative development process.
Yes. So then obviously creativity is a key element to get that connection and start those conversations with our consumers. And I would say that we value creativity a lot. And if we're talking about technology, generative AI, it's a buzzword this week, right? We see generative AI as technology there to enhance the human potential for creativity. And we want to bring that to our 37 global brands. And that's how we think that with CreaTech, we introduced it a couple weeks ago at VivaTech. And it's really using this Gen AI to empower our brands for more creativity that's going to bring better connections with our consumers. And so this beauty lab, it's a generative beauty content lab. Generative AI Beauty Content Lab, is here to have a very safe place for our brands to use generative AI, because we know it comes with some constraints, some limitations like copyright, IP, for instance. And we're also setting guardrails to use Gen AI very responsibly. So again, as a beauty company, and because beauty is such an individual and social need, we're very clear that we will not use AI-generated beauty content for lifelike face, hair, body, and skin. So we can use it for internal purposes to enhance creativity, but we will not use it to show our product performance and enhance any product performance.
Thank you for your answer. Tim, over to you. So empathy, it's crucial to user experience. So how are you encouraging advertisers on your platform to incorporate empathy and authenticity that deeply resonates with your audiences?
Well, first, just to echo your point, I think, when we talk about beauty, beauty as something inherent in who you are, I just think that's a really powerful decision that you all have made in terms of how to use generative AI in a productive manner, right? And we talk about empathy, we talk about authenticity. In fact, for brands to be successful on our platform, they have to know that the conversation is rooted in self-expression, vulnerability, and creativity. The reality is we have over 1 billion users globally. We have over 170 million monthly active users in the United States and 7 million businesses in the United States as well. So we have the scale for brands to access at TikTok. I think the big question is, obviously, as we've heard from Adam, how do you actually resonate? How do you stand out from the pack? And this is where we see empathy play a pretty strong role. In fact, through some of our research together, we've found that empathy and introducing empathy into your conversations, finding the right community on our platform, can actually lead to a 32% increase in memory encoding. And so while I think a lot of us look to move products off of shelves, obviously we also want to understand, what do our consumers, what do our users think of our brands, how do they see us, where do they see us, and this is where we see empathy play a very strong role.
Thank you for that. I'm going to skip a little bit up to Maxime. So Maxime, when we think about some of the data that Adam shared around empathy and fitting in, can you tell us how M6 approaches empathy when you're reaching audiences, promoting short-form content, and looking to increase subscription volumes?
Sure. So I would say first that we are a media company. So our relationship with platforms and social media is not a classic relationships. We are not an advertiser. We partner with social media and platforms in a win-win situation. I mean, for us, it's a way to distribute our contents, our brands, and for them, I guess it's a way to feed their platforms with premium content. So today we are very strong. We have 77 million followers on our brands, on our media brands, and just over the last 12 months, we delivered 11 billion impressions. So it's huge. So talking about empathy, I think it's more about our content, our programs. We have a huge challenge, which is to find the right snippets, to give the envy to this audience to come to our platforms, to our TV channels, to consume, the whole content. So it's very complicated because from a platform to another, the same contents will not work the same. On TikTok, for instance, it can work for, Married at First Sight, but it won't work on Facebook. So we test a lot. We have a special team dedicated to build this content, cut this content into little parts. We need to find the best parts that will fit with the audience and that will work well. It's hard to measure, of course, because if we could have a direct link between those platforms and the TV scores, it will be the Graal, but we don't. But what we can see is that at the end of the day, lots of big part of this audience is not an audience that consume a lot TV or radio, and we are sure it helps, and it's important to be there. So I think it's a win-win situation for us, and we are learning every year to do better than before.
Thank you, and I appreciate your perspective. Claudine, so just staying on the same topic of empathy and brand connection, as a marketing leader, how have you used empathy in some of your campaigns to build trust and long-term relationships with your consumers?
So I resonated with outside of empathy, I resonated with the word authenticity that you mentioned. And I think for us, one of the data points that we looked at was 4 million people in the U.S. at least suffer from constipation, right? But the idea of talking about poop is a very taboo topic. See, right? I mean, the reaction is there. And so what we decided to do was we really, or our teams really looked and trolled through social media and went down the rabbit hole of TikTok. And there's a lot of people having real conversations about suffering and suffering through constipation. And so what we wanted to do was to just make it okay to have those conversations so that then we can come in as a trusted source to build credibility, to build authenticity as a brand. And so for Docalex, once we glean in on the insights, once we really understood, I mean, the number of F-bombs we uncovered through the trolling was amazing. And so what we did was we flipped it around. We made a lot of our social posts and a lot of what we do online is all about conversation around poop and making it, building the talkability around that with micro and macro influences. And it's a very different conversation, right? And I think the platforms like TikTok allow us to build that authenticity and the trust, because if you look at television, video advertising in general, a lot of sufferers through anything, right? Allergies, constipation, pain. It's just like the before and after, and then everybody becomes shiny, happy people. It doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we use social platform as a means to educate and simplify the science using empathy in our brands.
Thank you very much. Adam, back over to you, and changing topics just a little bit, and now thinking about creative strategies for long-term growth. Can you tell us how creative ideas significantly impact brand strategy and long-term growth?
Yes, absolutely. Bottom line is that unless you're delivering some new ideas and thinking, it's quite unlikely you will grow market share in the longer term. And that, I think, really is based on the reality check that everyone's a creature of habit. Everyone's leading their habitual lives. And unless you are intersecting, unless you're disrupting that habit, then it's unlikely you will add more buyers in the long term because they'll be repeating their behaviors and habits. And I think we have an example, right, of an ad that we're...
Roll the clip.
There we go. Okay, all right. I've taken your cue. So we've got an example of an ad here that does that quite well, and a very apt product for the temperate conditions we find ourselves in. So let's roll the film.
Your roommate has a what's yours is mine mindset.
So it's just informed by a member of the audience. Maybe you couldn't all see that. And if that was the case, it's somebody hiding their ice cream from their nearest and dearest in very ingenious and different ways. And I think that's, yes, okay, if we look at the audience experience, maybe you can see that on the left. We can see it delivers back to those experiences a really strong audience experience. It's underpinned by obviously playful fun and entertainment, but more so, it gives people useful ideas and thinkings about how to keep their ice cream, in my case, from their children. And I think, therefore, there's empathy expressed in that. And we see, incidentally, in another number you probably can't see, that is also very effective. It's not a particularly high production cost, but a very effective ad that draws on those creative ideas and expresses empathy for the audience.
Thank you, Adam. And sorry that the audience couldn't see some of that video. Shifting back over to you, same topic, creative strategies for long-term growth. L'Oreal's at the forefront of innovative social campaigns. Can you talk a little bit about how you balance creative strategies with data insights?
Yeah. So we talked about consumer insights earlier and creativity, and about the data piece, we track and we measure. I think that's really important, and we want to measure the brand building, the salience and memorability of our pieces. So we do that in various number of ways. We use AI and also consumer to evaluate our content and our creatives. We also use implicit measures to decode emotions, and that's key, right, in the empathy and for memorability, the connection that we create with the consumers. We also have D&I measures, that we measure our creatives against. And then also, I was talking about platform first earlier, but we use AI to measure platform compliance of our creatives. So we have this kind of all-round, I would say, data base that we rely on, and that's how we look at our creatives and make sure that they build brands. And I have a recent example of a campaign by L'Oréal Paris. It's not the one that we might show later, but you may have seen the advertising. It's Eva Longoria in the bright reveal, so it's not that one. And it's the toaster campaign. Reveal is a serum for bright skin, and it's a very catchy advertising and creative where we put some product on a piece of bread, put it in a toaster, and we can see the difference between the piece of bread that has the product on it and the other. And this scored extremely well, for instance, and it was on social and different other touch points on memorability, on selling the proposition. So we're upper funnel, but we're also lower funnel, and as well on the brand building for the L'Oréal Paris brand.
Thank you. Maxime, back over to you. So how does M6 consider social when planning and executing campaigns to boost subscription volumes? And how does this relate with the wider media mix and other formats that you leverage?
Well, talking about content, if you look at figures, we don't need social medias. You know, we are already strong by ourselves with our TV assets and digital assets. I mean, most of French people are consuming our content on our media, so we don't need those social media. But what happens is that part of the population, and especially youth audiences, consume less our content than social media. So we need to take this into account, and we need to be there, because what works is multiplying the touch points. You need to be there in the morning, at lunch, in the evening, in the nights, because they're scrolling every day, so you need to be on the scroll. So creatively, it's very difficult, because you need to take our content and build an ad for each content, basically, because if you want those people to come to see your content on M6, on M6 Plus or whatever, you need to build an advertising with this content. So to give you an example, we're about to launch a new show, The Golden Bachelor. I think it's a huge success in the US. It's going to happen soon in France. It's a bit postponed, so be patient. But the trailer was very important in the media mix, especially on the social media, because the social media is the perfect match for this kind of content. You know, there is the revelation of this Golden Bachelor. Who is he? How does he look like? What does he like, etc. So there is a kind of teasing, and people want this kind of content, especially on the social media, more on the social media than on TV maybe. So you build a kind of buzz on the platform, on the social media, and this converts eventually in the audience on TV. So I hope it answered your questions. But
Oh, you did. That was great, and
Okay.
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Claudine, how do you integrate creative strategies with data insights? And you can talk about healthcare, or you can talk about your previous life as well.
So I was thinking about it. I think one of the examples that is still fresh off my mind is, because we've always talked about ROAS, and for me, I think engaging the consumer and building brands, you know, I think a big part is also how they engage with your brands, and social platform is a great way to do that. So particularly the data set we use, thinking through social, is very behaviorally driven. So how much likes do you have? How do consumers engage with our brands? And then on top of that, the other metric that we look at as well is just sentiment, right? Which is still data, but really using AI to scrape and figure out what consumers are saying about a brand. So those are the two really key metrics we look at, because social is beautiful at allowing us to tap into that data. Then I would say how we use it is just being very iterative with our campaigns. One of the brands recently that went through this is a brand called Zysol, which is, we have a mascot, which is an owl, and he's really wise, apparently. And what he does is the whole platform of that it's an allergy brand, and the whole platform and premise of that is you take it so that you have better sleep to get to a more productive day. And with like engagement and consumer sentiments, we really found that Nigel, which is the owl, is really a real distinctive asset and a powerful tool of ours. And so we started to now make Nigel more prominent in the forefront of our advertising. And because a lot of consumers talk about Nigel, I'm assuming it's a him, in a way that's just, resonates with them on the nighttime platform too, we've started to, make him more prominent and play around with nighttime. So we've launched our first ever social Nigel late night talk show, and just getting him to really start to interact. And I mean, this brand is amazing because I feel a lot of what they've done socially, or the team has done, I take no credit for it. The brand is like just growing 5-6x the category. It's been amazing to watch, right? I think social powers such fascinating storytelling, but you really need to glean into the insights in a way that could be potentially really creative.
Thank you very much. And great answers on that topic. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. And Tim, we're going to go to you with this one. So TikTok's got unique platform features. So how are you leveraging that to help brands not just drive the short-term conversions of yesteryears, but to really drive those longer-term brand relationships?
Sure, I'll talk about both. And listen, I say this as a working father, and happy belated Father's Day to a lot of us here. In my book, you haven't really lived as a dad or a parent until you've done a dance or a TikTok dance with your children, or maybe you've participated in a trend. For us last year, it was girl dinner, which became dad dinner, or maybe some menu hacks. And we've seen a lot of powerful brands tap into this. We call this co-creativity, right? And just through some of the examples from L'Oreal as well as Sanofi, we can hear and see that some of the features on TikTok, like duetting, reply to comment is a very popular tool that we see creators use as well, actually help bridge together the audiences on TikTok with brands. And in fact, 71% of the time a user actually purchases or makes a transaction with a brand, it's because of the qualities that a creator represents when introducing that brand to an audience. Now, when you kind of extend that creative capability to long-term brand growth, as you mentioned, Manny, we've invested for advertisers in a suite of measurement tools. So, over the last few years, we've had, brand marketers come to us pushing for brand lift. We've had performance marketers pushing for return on ad spend and conversion lift. And listen, whether you're a brand marketer or a performance marketer, I think at the end of the fiscal year, we're all CFOs at the end of the day. And so we've invested and have announced the launch of Unified Lift over the last month, which is our ability to, whether a campaign is optimizing towards brand KPIs or performance KPIs, can measure off of both brand lift and conversion lift at the same time. And so we think there's efficiencies there to gain, and hopefully that's valuable to our customer base.
I think everyone here would agree it's very valuable. Adam, we can play the video.
Amiga, você lembra daquele surto do Carmed? Que não encontrava Carmed em nenhuma farmácia e tava todo mundo louco querendo? Tipo isso, no mundo dos cabeleireiros. Esse aqui é o Seve.
Is it my turn to speak? No, we're not there yet. Don't we want to talk about it?
Yeah, but I don't think we have the right video. How about we just talk
Can you
about
go to the previous slide?
Previous
Previous slide? Yeah. Perfect.
Is it playing with the sound?
You want me to play that video now?
Sorry, a bit of a technical difficulty on getting the right video up. But Alexandra, why don't you discuss a campaign where L'Oreal used TikTok to transform its approach around brand storytelling?
Yep, great. So there are two different campaigns up here, and so you will see that the one here is a CeraVe campaign, and it's just a little teaser on what you'll see afterwards. But these here are paid formats on TikTok. And this is the Michael CeraVe campaign, which was a very social first and also influencer-led campaign with a surgical integration of paid media, and this is the TikTok example. And we saw incredible impact, both from a creative perspective, brand building with this campaign that took place over several weeks and that concluded at the Super Bowl. And the one on the left, and I think we can press play, is from Brazil. And this is more of an organic piece of content for Elsev brand on
Amiga,
hair
você
care.
lembra daquele surto do Carmed? Que não encontrava Carmed em nenhuma farmácia e tava todo mundo louco querendo? Tipo isso, no mundo dos cabeleireiros. Esse aqui é o Seve Gloss acidificante. Pra quem não sabe, amiga, você tem que usar acidificante no seu cabelo pra ele receber
And
melhor
so
o
what we
tratamento,
wanted to show with this
deixar
campaign is that it's more of an organic piece. And the campaign purposefully started with organic, leveraging nano and micro creators, so people like me, to create this connection and relatability showcasing the product as Sev and its effect on hair just before Carnival, and this is also a cultural moment that played a significant part in the campaign because you want your shiny hair, you want your best hair to go to Brazilian Rio Carnival, and the paid media part and the creative kicked in right after. But actually, organic, and this is how we play TikTok, right? It's a very strong organic base that we then amplify with paid. We reached record high market share for L7 in Brazil, and that's the ultimate measurement of creative effectiveness, I guess. Surpassing and leading the market with this campaign.
Thank you. And thank you, that was great. And I just got notice that we've got about 4 minutes left. We have a few questions, so I think we'll try to streamline the rest of the way. But Tim, if you don't mind, can you discuss a TikTok campaign that showcases the benefits of creative effectiveness or bravery?
Well, when it comes to bravery, and we do call it creative bravery at TikTok, the Michael CeraVe example is very powerful. You've tapped into an existing conversation on the platform and also added your own brand equity at the same time. We've seen a ton of brands tap into trends on the platform. There's actually one emerging right now from the Four Seasons in Orlando, and this happens from time to time. In this case, about a couple of weeks ago, a mother is at home with her family, and she says, "Hey, who wants to go to Four Seasons Orlando?" So adorable. One of her children says, "Me," in the cutest tone. And then, of course, what happens? A flywheel generates of content from other families. And this is where the creative bravery comes into place. The Four Seasons said, "Hey, this family's coming in. Why don't we bring them in? We'll tape TikToks together with them." And what became, at first, a group of 70 million views through one TikTok from that one family became over 140 million views with the content that they filmed at the Four Seasons Orlando together with the community in just about a couple of weeks. So again, when we talk about creative bravery, we're not just talking about tapping in the conversation, but we're also exploring, or a brand is exploring, the speed, the flexibility for a brand to be able to tap into a conversation in real time.
Thank you very much. Maxime, would you like to share a success story with us?
Yeah, I can talk about a show that just ended last week. It's Married at First Sight. It's our second most popular show on the social networks and on the platforms, of course. And what is interesting is that I believe that this audience is embodying the new TV viewers. What I mean by that is that year after year, we see the part of the on-demand audience growing. And for instance, on the last 7 days of the show, we had 12 million views on our social networks and platform on this specific show. And what we see on the TV rating is that we have something like 2 million linear TV, but you can add 1 million audience if you add the preview and the replay. And what we see is that the preview is growing every year and on each show. So I think all the snippets we are distributing everywhere are something that give, a kind of suspense for the audience, and they want to be the one who knows. When you talk about something, before other people. So preview is a big success. I think social media is a kind of contributor to this success. It's hard to measure. And of course, the audience that consume those content on the social media is less and less consuming our content in linear and more on demand. So I think it's just the beginning, and we need to be prepared to this revolution. And that's why we just launched M6 Plus, which is built for this.
Thank you very much. And my wife's a big fan of that show. Claudine, can you close us out with a success story?
Okay, so for us, for Icy Hot, it's a topical pain brand of ours. Now, one of the things we've had for the longest, one of the celebrities we've had endorse the brand for the longest time is Shaq. And as you guys know, Shaq is migrating out to a broader sporting world, and he's almost retired, if not retired. I don't know sports, by the way. My sport is shopping, so I assume he's retiring, if not retired, for all you Shaq fans out there. But anyway, so we wanted to make sure we use social as a platform to bring in a new generation of consumers into our franchise. And we've developed what we call the Icy Hot Squad, where Shaq becomes more of a coach and mentor, and a new breed of sports, celebrities and everyday folks from NIL, Peloton trainers, and things like that. We're building that squad up, and we're kind of mobilizing them to go viral, to talk about injuries, just give sporting tips. It's been really successful for us. Icy Hot is one of our other local jewels in North America that has continued to serve us well and grow. And then I'll just put in a plug for a brand that I know nothing about, and I have no investments in this whatsoever. But I've been obsessed with this TikTok handle called Urban Tandoor, or Urban Tandoor. It's an Indian restaurant. I don't know where, but they use their chefs and servers to sing really crappy classics and do all kinds of random stuff, but it's been garnering a following. So to your point about creative bravery, I don't even know if you know. I've been following them now.
No, there's a lot of TikTok accounts. I haven't followed them all yet.
Yeah, that's true. I have. But it's fascinating just to see the type of, how would you break through, the clutter in a category that almost is so established. Restaurant is one too, where you go through multiple TikTok videos. I thought that was super interesting, and I'm just doing a plug for them for nothing. Free. It's free.
Thank you. They really, really appreciate it. Adam, can you play the video?
Yeah, we wanted to show you a social first campaign. It's the Michael CeraVe campaign. You may know that we're shortlisted for titanium and won gold and silver on healthcare. I guess the point is that it kind of refers to what you were saying, social listening. It's a social first insight, a shower thought 5 years ago. Is there a relationship between CeraVe and Michael Cera? And it's also about creativity and bravery. So I think it sums it up. So I know we're kind of over time, but I wanted to show it.
Let's play the film.
Actor.
Wait, what is he doing?
Dancer. Cream genius.
I've seen a lot of claims you've been making lately.
Claims. I can't be held responsible for every rumor, every nasty rumor about me.
We received this email. The subject is King of Skincare. I have it on very good authority that actor Michael Cera has been hiding something big.
No, we're not going to take 5 minutes.
That question because I want to ask. Whoa!
He's allegedly the brains behind skincare brand CeraVe.
Something is going on with Michael Cera. I'm obsessed with great products.
Like, is he okay?
I'm here with Michael Cera from CeraVe. I could be from CeraVe. Yeah.
Michael Cera sent me a box with his face all over it. I just really hope it's not his head.
If human skin is paper, let me be the poems.
CeraVe.
CeraVe is Michael Cera's skincare line.
He comes from millions of dollars in lotion money.
Michael Cera created CeraVe? I'm not kidding.
And what happened next?
That's when CeraVe came in to shut it down.
He came out with a statement saying there's no association with Michael Cera.
Michael Cera did not develop CeraVe. Dermatologist did.
Go back to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
I'm Michael Cera, and human skin is my passion, which is why I developed this. CeraVe. Developed with Michael Cera. V. We like?
They did a great job, by the way, with social marketing, too, whoever did this.
It was brilliant. I don't have any social media or anything. I don't even have a smartphone. Wow.
I'd like to thank RTL for hosting us today and for our distinguished guests. Thank you so much. I think we all learned a lot. One more hand of applause, please, for our guests. And a special happy birthday to Alexandra and Maxime. Thank you.